My name is James Oliver Jr. I'm a managing partner of a new venture firm coming soon, Kabila Ventures, and I'm the founder of the Kabila Founder Mental Health Fund.
Can you tell me about your own mental health journey?
Oh boy, it's ongoing, right? So I can talk about from a founder's perspective how. So back in 2012, when I was launching my first startup, I cleaned out the last $35,000 of my savings. I'm a non-technical founder, and I didn't know how to code. And we need to build this custom platform that allowed you to take your digital images and turn them into removable photo wallpaper. And so I cleaned out my savings and to build an alpha version of a website for my startup, which was back then called WeMontage. And during that time, my ex-wife now wanted to have children. So we did IVF, inserted 2 embryos. The reason we did that is because, back then the data was that if you put in 1 embryo, you got a 40% chance of having a child. If you put in 2, you got a 45% having a child. And that thing is very expensive and time consuming and all that. And so put in 2 embryos, and lo and behold, she was pregnant with twins. Right. So I knew that I needed a shot, an injection, an opportunity to launch this business for it to have a chance. So I applied to this accelerator called Generator in Northeast Wisconsin in Madison. Back then I was living in Neenah, Appleton area, which is like 30 miles south of Green Bay. Madison was a 2-hour drive from there. But I knew that I needed to get into this accelerator and to have a chance to make this business do anything. And I got in. So I was very excited about that. And the children were supposed to be born March 27th, I think, of 2013. The accelerator ended like April 2nd or 3rd. I'm like, okay, perfect. This timing is awesome. I can go back and forth, do my thing. Kids will be born. And right around the time this is over, perfect timing, right? So went into the doctor for just like a routine checkup. Up until this point, everything was fine. And the doctor said, we're noticing some irregularity with your son's blood flow. It seems like it's going backward a little bit. If it continues to do that, we'll have to do an emergency C-section. Otherwise, he'll die. So they were like, well, we're just going to monitor you for a couple of days, observe you. And then I think it was like the next day or something like that. They were like, the blood flow is going backward. We have to do an emergency C-section. And this was 2 days before the accelerator started, which, as I mentioned, was a 2-hour drive each way. And I was 1,000 miles from friends and family. And so we did the emergency C-section. The kids weighed 2 pounds each.
Oh,
my son was 1 pound, 14 ounces. My daughter was 2 pounds, 3 ounces. Like I remember when they were born, like they could both just fit in the palm of my hand. And so, man, first of all, that was an incredibly traumatic experience. A lot of people were like, oh, the birth of my children was the most memorable thing. Yeah, no, for me, that was the most traumatic experience ever. I don't ever want to have to experience that again. Without getting into details of all that, it was just horrible. So I'm in the accelerator, driving back and forth to the NICU, waking up at 2 a.m. every single morning because I couldn't sleep from the pressure and stress of it all. I was trying to find a technical co-founder while I was in the accelerator, and all this pressure to raise money because I was out of money. Like this was like all my chips were in, bro. Like they were all in to the middle of the table. For those who play poker, I don't, but I think most people understand that reference. Although I think I should maybe learn how to play poker. I'm just saying. So yeah, you could have just walked up to me, Michael, any day of any week and said, good morning, James. And I just would have started crying. Like I cried every day. My face was breaking out horribly. And I remember the day of demo day, I'm about to go on stage and pitch to an audience of would-be investors and people in the ecosystem there. I got a phone call and was say, hey, this is so-and-so from so-and-so Angel Group. And, we're going to fill your whole round. And I was like, well, what do you mean? They said, we're going to give you $250,000. At the time, I was only raising $250,000. And I mean, after everything that I've been through, I cried, man. I dropped on my knees and I just thank God. And so the kids came home. My daughter came home at 6 weeks from the NICU. My son came home at 10 weeks. He was still not doing great. He was still tethered to a machine, just beeping. I mean, that thing was like beeping all day and all night, and it wake me up all the time, and on an oxygen tank. And I think, as I digress here, but I think that that's part of the reason why, so I have sleep apnea, so I use a CPAP machine, right? And I love to sleep on my back, but my wife hates it when I sleep on my back, and she's always elbowing me. And I think I have PTSD from that time, from being woken up in the middle of the night so often, because I get aggravated when I get woken up in the middle of the night. And I don't know, maybe I need to talk to my therapist about that. But so needless to say, that was a very traumatic experience. But, the kids are doing great now. They'll be 13 in January. So at the time I was going through all that, I had a blog that I started with the intention of writing a book to help parents who are entrepreneurs be the best parent and entrepreneurs they could be, or parentpreneurs. Because, shortly after launching the business, like, we ran out of money. I remember I had one investor tell me, if you ever had anybody tell you this to your face of your founder, it's a terrible experience. So we just gotten our first Today Show hit on the product. It was a brilliant product. And we had our best sales month ever. But, the investor was like, well, I thought all along they were going to give us some more money so we could keep going. He was like, yeah, we don't want to throw good money after bad. Oh, boy. So anyway, we ran out of money. Everybody quit. And I'm left on my own to try to keep this thing going, because the product was brilliant. I mean, on my own, I got on the Today Show 3 times. Good Morning America. Money Magazine came out and did a wonderful article and great video. And Martha Stewart's blog called it a decor item all homeowners should know. But we just were not getting enough sales despite all that incredible PR, which, side note, if there's any founders out there listening, PR does not necessarily equal cash flow, and it's really not worth your time to chase it. You're actually better off spending your time talking to customers, right? And asking them to refer your product to 10 of their friends. So I wrote this book. I compiled a bunch of stories from my blog. I wrote a book called The More You Hustle, the Luckier You Get. You Can Be a Successful Parentpreneur. And arguably, some people call it the realest book about entrepreneurship they ever read. The book didn't crush it or anything, but it's on Amazon. You could go read it. It's a simple read, easy read. But all the while this was happening, I ran out of money. I had to go home and take care of my kids, babies, during the day while I'm trying to grind on my startup, man. And my mental health was just like really, really bad. It was deteriorating, and I wasn't really doing anything about it. And long story short is, like, well, in terms of that investor that said, we're not going to throw good money after bad, he came back to me at some point. He's like, hey, we really like your leadership. We want to give you another $100,000. I'm like, okay, it's just me now. I don't have a developer, but I'm going to try to figure it out, because one of the things that I am is resilient AF, and I'm in the 99th percentile of resilient and persistent people on the planet. That is true. It's also true, though, that just because I'm resilient AF doesn't mean I always want to have to be, because it's honestly exhausting. So, I ended up shutting WeMontage down. The mother filed for divorce. I was functionally depressed. I was in a terrible headspace. And, I just can't help to ask, if in retrospect, if I actually had access to good mental wellness resources and good mental health hygiene, if that startup would have made it, so that's why I started the Kabila Founder Mental Health Fund, which it was launched with a generous grant from legendary investor Brad Feld, who's co-founder of Techstars, a partner at Foundry VC fund in Colorado. And then we also partner with Techstars now to provide mental therapy for Techstars founders. So, we're just doing that. Every week or so, we make it available for a founder. We're partnering with BetterHelp. We'll provide 4 free mental therapy sessions. They currently need to be used in a 30-day window, which is really fast. But I'm about to onboard to a new platform with them, which is going to allow us to scale up and give people, probably 2 months to get their sessions in, which I think is more reasonable. but even that. So I know I'm bouncing around a little bit here, but I assume that some of the people who listen to your podcast are probably startup founders. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when I launched the mental health fund, like I treated that thing like a startup. It's like, Paul Graham from Y Combinator, his famous quote from the early 2000s was, when you start up, you got to do things that don't scale. So for me, I just started up this nonprofit. I got a fiscal sponsor, and I just put together some type forms and stuff, and just trying to see if anybody cared, if anybody would want it. And the way it's set up right now is absolutely inefficient. It's a lot of manual stuff I got to do on my end, and it's not most efficient from a money standpoint, just because of the way we pay for the things. It's like we pay for it in advance. If the founder can't use all 4 sessions in the 4 weeks, I still had to pay for it. So, but moving over to this new platform, we're only going to get billed based on usage, which is great. And then we have our own backend dashboard, a little landing page. We could show metrics and data to potential donors, and it's not as much manual stuff on my side, which is great. So we're going to be moving this thing ready to scale up.
What are some of the challenges entrepreneurs face with their mental health?
The challenges are, look, man, what is the number? Like 75% of startups fail or something like that. It's probably higher than that. The challenges are, it's really freaking hard being a founder. There's still a stigma around founder mental health, getting mental wellness and getting the help you need. I think some people think that if investors found out they were doing that they would think they were mentally, quote unquote, unstable, whatever that means, right? And they're not worth taking a bet on them and making an investment. And founders think it's for somebody else. It's not for them. Or one of my favorite things I hear from founders is, I don't want to take a slot from somebody else. And I'm like, bro, like, what are you talking about? I just talked to you last week. You're having a hard time. You deserve the help. It's okay. Just like sign up for it. So I'm actually writing a book. So I'm partnering with a guy named Django Degree, who's the founder of a platform, it's an AI-generated book writing platform called Focus on Words, focusonwords.com. And we're writing a book to shatter the silence around founder mental health for tech startups. And I'm super excited about this. This book is going to be a collaboration or a collection of stories from founders and investors about their mental wellness journey. And I'm very excited about this. Techstars CEO David Cohen is writing the foreword to the book. This coming Giving Tuesday, December 2nd, we're actually doing a LinkedIn Live, old school style. Like, I don't know if you're old enough to know who Jerry Lewis is, Jerry's kids. He used to do those live telethon things. We're doing that on LinkedIn, and we got a bunch of guests and panels and people coming in. And the goal is to raise another $80,000 so we could help provide mental therapy for another 170 founders. So we're really, really excited about that. And it's just founders think it's bad. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to do anything about it. And it's just unfortunate. So
how does helping founders help your own healing process?
Interesting question. I don't know if it directly helps, but me doing this work in this space keeps it top of mind, right? So like for me, my latest startup, Kabila, it's been really, really hard. And raising this fund, and the current macroeconomic environment is incredibly difficult. And like the way I've been going about trying to raise the fund was actually, I could tell it was destroying my mental health. It was really toxic for me. And I'm aware of that because I do have a therapist that I can talk to. And my wife is the most self-aware person I know and has the best mental health hygiene out of anybody I know. And because of that, like, I know that what I was doing was not working for me. And I simply decided that, I'm going to go about this a different way. It's going to take me longer. And one of the bullet points in my fund deck was to provide, as a value add as a VC, was to provide mental wellness resources for founders. And as I said, because I have a therapist, I understand how to compartmentalize. I know that I need to control the things that I can control, so I can control that. Like, so what did I do? I went out and I launched this nonprofit to do this work. And the thinking there is I've been really connecting with some influential and well-resourced individuals and looking to build relationships around something important like founder mental wellness. And then maybe I could get, my fund raised that way. Or I believe I will get it raised that way. It's going to take longer, but in the end, my mental wellness, my mental health will be intact.
As an entrepreneur, what advice would you give someone who wants to follow your footsteps?
As a founder, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much advice to be given. I think probably at the top of the list is make sure that this is a problem that you're obsessed with. Because if you're not obsessed with this problem, when things get hard, and I promise you things will get hard, it's inevitable, it's going to be too easy for you to quit. So if you just think this is some kind of side project, or just you read some report and said that, this is a burgeoning industry, you can make money here, you think you want to go do that, like, don't do it, because it's going to be too hard for you and it's going to take a toll on your mental wellness. And so the other thing is, I think make sure that you have the support of your friends and family, because if you don't, particularly with respect to your spouse or a significant other, if you're in a serious relationship, if you don't have the support of your spouse, for example, either the marriage will fail, the startup will fail, or both will fail. So those are a couple of pieces of advice I have for founders there.
With writing a book, what is it like getting your thoughts, ideas, feelings all out on the page?
It's easy, man. I wrote a book before. I had a blog. I write a fair amount just on on social media from time to time. But the beautiful thing about this book is I'm writing a book. I'm not writing all the content. We have people who are contributing to the book, so it's easy, man. I think this is an important enough topic. People who have important stories and valuable lived experience and have a perspective and want to share it. I'm excited to do this book. Really excited, and I hope that it will make a splash and make a difference in the conversations that founders and investors are having around the importance of mental wellness. Like, I know Alexis Ohanian from 776 Ventures, he's married to Serena Williams. He's one of the investors. His fund, like when they allocate money to an investment, they set aside money toward founder mental wellness. I'm actually going to send his chief of staff an email. I don't know them, but I'm going to send her an email to see if he'll be game to come and be a speaker for my event. And I just want him to come and talk about the importance of investors supporting founder mental wellness, because not enough of them are doing that right now. We're here to try to change the story there.
What do you do to help your own mental health?
So I love this question because, to me, it's not just about going to a therapist. I have a call with an important CEO of a very important company in the mental wellness space at 3:00 today. And I hope that we can partner with them and they'll be willing to donate a couple thousand premium subscriptions to their app. So, people can just have good mental health hygiene, a good mental wellness hygiene, things that they do, not just, when they talk to a therapist, but on a day-to-day basis. For me, like I ride my bike probably 2-3 times a week. That's super important for me to clear my head, because, if my head's not clear enough, I'm ruminating. It doesn't leave room for inspiration. And to me, like, inspiration is what comes from God. And if I'm not getting that inspiration, if I'm trying to force my will on the things, that's not good. It doesn't usually work out. I want to be inspired and have an easier path to get the things done. I think self-awareness, and that's something that's learned over time. Like, if I don't feel good about doing a thing, I don't do it. Like, I'll put it down. Like, for example, like, we were supposed to have this conversation last week, Monday, and I was just having a really, really hard time that day with some personal stuff. And I was like, Michael, I apologize if I seem a little off today. It's because I'm having a really hard time personally. And you were incredible, because you understand what this mental stuff is. And you were like, why don't we reschedule? I was like, bless you. Yes, let's reschedule, right? So I think to answer your question, yeah, you can see a therapist if you have one. Do whatever keeps you mentally well, right? Like prayer, meditation, your religion, whatever it is, writing, reading, walking, running, riding your bicycle, using some apps, mindfulness, like being aware. I talk to my wife a ton. Like we have these incredible conversations, and this is always like mental wellness and mental hygiene is always top of mind for me because of the relationship with my wife and the conversations that we have, and plus some of the crazy stuff that's going on in my life right now. So those are some of the things that I do.
Where do you want to see your mission in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh boy, with the Founder Mental Health Fund, I would love. Yeah, man. So right now we're just, basically helping one founder a week. I would love to have enough money raised, and I haven't done the math on this yet, but it's probably, a couple $1,000,000 that I could just have like a landing page and people can answer a few questions and, self attest to these things, and they could just go right here and just get signed up and get the help that they need. That's what I would love to see happen. I would love for this work to be an important part of changing the narrative around the importance of mental wellness and mental therapy if founders want it or need it. We just want to be part of the solution to this problem for founders, because so many of the founders I know right now, with all the craziness going on in the world, and on top of it, it's just so hard to raise money if they need it. And it's hard being a founder. We just want to try to make things easier for the founders, man. That's what I hope.
You touched on it earlier, but how important is it to take care of your mind, body, and spirit all at the same time?
Like it's important to me. Because if I'm not in a good health space, mental health space, I can't show up the way I need to with the right energy and attract the things that I want and execute the things I'm endeavoring to do. And people to like me and want to, tap in and or be helpful. I won't be able to get the inspiration I need to do the things that I need done. And physically, if your physical health is not good, like you're going to go to an early grave, right? And well, that's not good if you're trying to get some stuff done. So, and spiritually, that's important too. Like for me, that's important too. Just like before I go to bed and wake up every morning, I say a little prayer. I also have a gratitude journal that I started keeping, not physically writing it, but on my computer. In my notes, I have a log every morning. I say one sentence about something I'm thankful for, and I also added a mantra to the end of it that I put every single time now, which is, everything I put my hands to expands and prospers, because, that's just about putting the right energy out into the universe and, changing the narrative around any trauma from, the failure of my first startup, for example.
How can people reach out and learn more?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm James Oliver Jr. I think you have my LinkedIn profile if you want to, put that up on the screen. But please, if you send me a LinkedIn connection request, just please add a note. Hey, I heard your conversation with Michael. Love what you had to say. Please connect, because I get so much spam on LinkedIn. If there's no note, typically I just don't even accept the connection request. So, yeah, I think you can do that.